Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the day two of hands-on workshop on Roadmap to Machine Learning Algorithms, organized by CCT ACM Student Chapter. Those who recently joined us, we conduct technical workshops, hackathons, and a lot of tech-oriented stuff. Also, if someone is willing to contribute for the same, they can contact to any of the member or at our email ID. So for the people who were not present yesterday, I am Muskan, ML and data science enthusiast. I have been recently selected as the student representative of the professional data science community of ACM India IKDD. I have been also participating in research-oriented projects in NLP, AI, etc. Next speaker is Navjot Jangra. He is a BSc student at IIT Madras in Programming and Data Science and is currently pursuing full-time BE in ECE at CCET Chandigarh. He is a data science and ML enthusiast and is currently involved in projects of same domain. He is also a proficient web developer. So moving forward to the agenda of today's presentation. First of all, I will brief out about day one of workshop, which includes introduction to ML, its classification, steps involved in solving a basic machine learning problem, data preprocessing, and two algorithms out of five, which we discussed yesterday, logistic regression and naive Bayes. Then I will briefly tell you about the other three algorithms today. After that, Navjot will take over the hands-on session, covering all the points briefly discussed by me, which you all will be doing along with us for the successful completion of workshop. So beginning with the overview, we discussed about machine learning, that it is a subset of artificial intelligence, which focuses on various techniques like statistics, probability, and builds intelligent computer systems, which work without the explicit involvement of any programming. There are numerous daily life examples like image detection, recommendation systems in Amazon, Netflix, etc., predictive maintenance in machines. So you can just take a look at the diagram, which clearly shows the subdomains and domains in artificial intelligence, how they are linked, how data science is linked to artificial intelligence, how NLP is linked, how computer vision is linked. Then we discussed how a typical machine learning problem progresses through data set to testing data, to learning of algorithm, to training the model, and to evaluating the model. Then we had classification of machine learning algorithms, which are broadly classified as supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Supervised clearly by name is to work under supervision, which consists of the target outcome variable, which is to be predicted from a given set of independent variables. For example, to predict whether news is fake or not. Unsupervised, it is like we do not have any target for outcome variable to predict or estimate. The most common unsupervised learning method is cluster method or cluster analysis, which is used for EDA as well, that is exploratory data analysis to find hidden patterns which our data has. It also has unlabeled data as training data. Reinforcement learning is like machine is used to make a specific decision. It works in a way that machine learns from its own experiences and mistakes and improves the efficiency of the same and also the accuracy. Here is a diagrammatic representation of classification. Supervised further has regression, decision trees, random forests, and classification techniques. Unsupervised learning has clustering, association, and hidden Markov models. And the third is reinforcement learning. Five algorithms out of all these will be discussed in this two-day workshop. Two have been already covered, and three will be discussed today. If we give one wrong output, then we must say that if we give one wrong input, then output may not be what we expect out of the machine learning algorithm. That is where data preprocessing comes into role. Using data without preprocessing is a purely a myth. So it is very important to understand that why it is so important and how you can do it. Data in its original form may have a lot of redundant attributes or repeating elements or missing pieces or having some structural issues with it. Through preprocessing, one can modify this raw information and convert it into something useful for machine learning algorithms, which can give fruitful results. The steps basically include data selection, which is necessary to first identify which data should be used. Then is data cleaning and reduction. Once we have selected the data, we determine how we will be using it. Then is data transformation, which is the final step, wherein we receive the modified data for machine learning algorithms. There are three data transformation procedures like center and scale, decompose, and aggregate. Out of these five algorithms, linear regression and naive Bayes have been covered in the previous day. Now we will be going with KNN, that is K nearest neighbor, support vector machines, SVM, and decision trees. Linear regression, as we discussed, is used to estimate real values. It is based on a continuous variable. Here we establish a linear relationship between the independent and dependent variable by fitting the best line. This best fit is known as the regression line, and it is represented by the linear equation y equal to ax plus b. In this equation, y is the dependent variable, a is the slope, x is the independent variable, and b is the intercept. Naive Bayes is a classification algorithm for binary and a multi-class classification. The technique is very easy to use as everyone has came across the Bayes theorem once in their lifetime. It is used for text classification like spam filtering in emails, classifying them into ham or spam. PH here is the probability of hypothesis, H being true. This is also known as the prior probability. PE is the probability of evidence. PE given H, the probability of the evidence given that hypothesis is true. And PH given E is the probability of hypothesis given that the evidence is true. Next we have today is the KNN algorithm. What K nearest neighbor algorithm does, it assumes that similar things exist in close proximity. In other words, similar things are near to each other. KNN makes predictions using the training dataset directly. Predictions are made for a new instance X by searching through the entire training for the K most similar instances, that is the neighbors, and summarizes the output variable for those K instances. For regression, this might be the mean output variable. In classification, this might be the mode or the most common class value. KNN can be used for both regression as well as classification problems. As regression, when KNN is used, the prediction is based on the mean or the median of the K most similar instances from data. When it is used as classification, the output can be calculated as the class with the highest frequency, which has the highest frequency from the K most similar instances. Each instance, in essence, votes for their class, and the class with the most votes is taken as the prediction. Next is SVM, that is support vector machine. In machine learning, SVMs are supervised learning models which are associated with learning algorithms that analyze data used for classification and regression. In this algorithm, we plot each data item as a point in n-dimensional space, where n is the number of features that our dataset has, with the value of each feature being the value of a particular coordinate in the space. In the example shown above, the line which splits the data into two differently classified groups is the middle line, since the two closest points are the farthest apart from the line. This line is our classifier. It classifies the data into two parts. Then depending on where the testing data lands on either of the side is where we can classify and predict the data. Then comes decision trees. They are quite frequently used. It is a type of supervised learning algorithm that is mostly used for classification problems and regression problems. Actually, it works for both categorical as well as continuous dependent variables. The image here, you can see that the population is classified into four different groups based on multiple attributes to identify if they will play or not. Decision trees are very straightforward and easy to interpret. Their visual representation can help us to understand the strength and the relationship among the attributes our data has. It can work with both categorical as well as numerical features and can handle missing values successfully. Decision trees are often biased towards some of the attributes with fewer levels or which have unique values. They can often propose a issue of overfitting, which we discussed yesterday. If the training data is very noisy, it can catch up that points around and will give us an like unwanted or garbage result. Additionally, a large number of features may lead to a detailed decision tree. So this was all about the briefing of algorithms. You can go ahead with the practical and hands-on session to get your hands dirty on the practical part. I would like to call Navjot to take over the practical session.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again. So, today we are looking forward to the KNN algorithm. So, first of all, uh, we are going to know how KNN classification works. So, for that, as you can see in the display, I've given a small representation there. So, the KNN classification algorithm is quite simple. Simple in how in which manner? See that when a data point is provided to the algorithm with a given value of k, it searches for k nearest neighbors to that point, as you can see in the representation going there. And the nearest neighbors are found by calculating distance between the given data point and the data points in the initial data set. So you can, there are many techniques, Euclidean that we can calculate the distance between them. So once we calculated the k nearest neighbors, the algorithm determines the majority of neighbors belongs to which class. So as you can see here, they are green or brown, and we can see here that 5 out of I think 4 of 5 out of 3 are from green class, as you can see here. So if the majority of the neighbors belong to class green, then the given data point is always classified as class green. So this is going to be green here. So moving forward, and one thing more, as you can see, the value here, the value of k is 5. But for every different value of k, the result is also going to be different here. So what I'm saying is that we are going to use here hyperparameter tuning, so that we can what I say is so that we can predict the accurate value of k, so that it provides the accurate data set to us. So continuing here, so today we have a data set of we can say of a gender, and here we are going to classify them as male and female on basis on their facial features. Okay, I have shared with you the data set in the chat room. You can see there. So first of all, we are going to import the libraries here. They are quite similar as they were yesterday. There is only one addition to it, and the addition is here is we are going to import package of confusion matrix here. That's it. And moving forward, we are going to run here. One second. Now it's easy to see. And we have successfully run the imported the libraries here. So now what we are going to do is we are going to import the dataset also. So we're going to import. Okay. Oh, sorry. So we have imported the dataset also. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see how our data looks like. So for that, we are going to use the head function here. So as you can see, uh, there are almost 8 columns here, and we have to what we have to predict is that whether the person is male or female. So moving forward, we are going to need some more, and here as you can see I've provided the details of the columns here. That long hair means what? It is 1 when he or she has a long hair, or 0 if he or she has haven't. So in this manner we have provided the details here. As you can see, forehead means on the length of forehead in centimeters, forehead width, and forehead height in centimeter. And then the the nose, the length of nose, how it looks like, is it long or isn't it small, and how wide is it, and the length of lips, how they looks, and the distance between nose and lips. And this is now moving forward. What we can see here is we can see with the function here, with the count function, value counts function here, that how many males and females are there in our data set. As you can see, there are 2501 females and 2500 males in the data set here. So and if we want more information, we can use the info function to know more about the data set here. So for that, we are going to run the code. And as you can see here, there are 500 501 rows here and 7 columns in the data set, and there is no null value in the data set, and there is it means it's clean. We can move forward. So now we are going to analyze it. How? So what we are going to do now is we are going to first visualize the correlation between different features present in our data set here. So for that, and heat map. This is our data set. As you can see, for heat map and correlation matrix. As you can see here, what it shows, it relates variables with each other. If you want to see, you can have many data from here also. So basically, what we can say is, by looking into it, is or we can simply say is that anybody having no long nose is going to have a wide one also. So as you can, because it has a large correlation data here, because वन उन्हीं का ही होगा जिसके जो सेम होंगे, जैसे कि नोज लॉन्ग है, यहाँ पे भी नोज लॉन्ग है, तो उनका वन हो गया. जितना बड़ा होगा, जितना वन के करीब होगा जिनका, उतना ही उनके बीच में कोरिलेशन ज्यादा होगा, उतना ही हम उन दोनों को रिलेट कर पाएंगे किसी भी दो वेरिएबल्स को. सो moving forward with this, now what we are going to do is we are going to plot a line graph, which is going to show here is the relation between distance between the lips and nose to the thinness of lips. So for that, we are going to run our code, and as you can see here, what it shows is that we are that lips thinness and distance nose to lip long, they are positively correlated, and they increase in almost a linear fashion here, as you can see here. And analyzing more data, we can correlate many features with each other, like the forehead width with forehead height. So running our, so what we see here is, we observe that the graph is zigzag. It's not linear or nothing else. So we can say that they are not correlated with each other. And since they are having very small positive correlation, we can't make any certain prediction by looking at this curve here. So it's useless for us now, and looking more so that we can get something. We are looking correlation between long hair and forehead width. So we can see here is that it's is pretty much good. So what it tells us, what the graph tells us is that it's an example of a negative correlation. As the slope, as you can see, the slope is negative here. So that so from here also we don't find any beneficial data. So now what we are going to do is so now what we are going to do is that we are going to compare nose width and nose wide, how wide is the long of a person, to distinctly identify that the person is male or female or male. मतलब उन दोनों को अलग कैसे कर सकते हैं कि उनकी चौड़ी है उनकी नाक, तो उनको कैसे पता लगेगा कि कौन लड़का है कौन लड़की है। उसके लिए हम we are going to use this code function a group, मतलब हम लड़कियों को अलग कर लेंगे और लड़कों को अलग कर लेंगे। यहाँ पे हम पहले लड़कों के बारी से चल रही है कि लड़के देखते हैं कि कितने लड़कों की चौड़ी है और कितनों की नहीं है। So what you can see from here is that 2176 males have a wide nose. That means about 87% of males have wide nose, and just 317 the 317 males don't have a wide nose here. Okay, we found some beneficial data from here. Now what we are going to use it, we are going to make a histogram plot of this data here. It's showing the same thing here, and we can do same for the females here. For the females, now we can see here is what that 2214 females don't have wide nose, and that's also very impressive. That's almost 87-88%.
Navjot, can you slightly scroll up?
Okay. Yes. These are only graphical. This is a tabular form. It's
heat map.
a heat map. Okay, you can see here.
I want the code of heat map.
I'll be sharing the whole notebook with you. You don't have to worry. Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay. So where we were, as you can see here, what we were saying is that the girls or the females don't have, most of the females don't have wide nose. We got to know from this data, and if we want to represent in the histogram form, and we can plot here. We want to see in a graphical way. So you can see here Now moving forward, now what we are going to do is we are going to split it for the training purpose and the testing purpose. So we are going to split our data from here. So for that, first of all, what we have to do is we are going to separate the featured labels and the target labels into different data frames that are X and Y's, as we have done yesterday. In a similar way, we are going to do that. So as you can see, we are going to separate the features labels and the target label. Here the target label is gender because it's our output. We want to know that a person is male or female. Other than gender, all are features for feature labels for us. So as you can see here in the X, they have included everything except gender. So we are going to run it, and okay. Now the second step. Now we are going to split the data set here. For that, first of all, what I have to do is I have to import the train test split package from Skylern. So for that, we have a code here, as you can see. And then now we are going to split our data set. As we know, we are going to get 4 types of outputs from here: X train, Y train, X test, Y test, as we have done it yesterday in the same way. Okay. So here we are going to, what we are going to do is, okay, not 20, we are going for 30 here. So what we have done is that we have splitted our data in 30 is to 7, 3 into 30% to the test part and the 70% to the training part here. So now I think we can run our. So what we have done is we have split it into training part and into testing part, testing sets, as we can say. So from here, now what we are going to do is we are going to train our data set here, or as we can say, we are going to model fitting the data. So for before that, we are going to do is we are just going to import our packages which we require here. So first of all, the K-neighbor classifier which we are going to use here for testing purpose, for training purpose, and the accuracy score as we need it in the future. Okay, I'm going to run the packages here. Not what we need is so what we are going to do is now is we are going to first create a KNN classifier instance here, and then we are going to prepare a range of values of hyperparameter K. So from we are taking it from 1 to 31, that we will use that it will be used by grid search CV to find the best value of K. So what grid search CV is, it's a library function in a Skyline. It helps to loop through the predefined hyperparameters and fit your estimates on your training set. So what we get from here is, in the end, we can select the best parameters for the listed hyperparameters. So fine. What we are going to do is, now we are going to create our model here. For that, so the KNN equals to, we have imported it in our model. So, and we have imported the grid search CV function also from Skytlam here. So as we need it to know the best value of K, so that we can get the accurate accurate data set after training here. So we are going to run it now. And further, what we are going to do here, we are going to set our cross validation batch sizes CV, that is 10, and set scoring matrices as accuracy as our preference. These all are parameters here. So what we are going to do is, okay, we are going to add here our parameters, our predefined parameters here. And doing that, now we are going to train our data set here with the putting the model function here. So oh, there is a problem here. Okay, we are done here. So we have trained our data set, and what we can do is we can find the optimal parameter of K, means the value of K here from here, and the best obtained score through, means the obtained accuracy through grid search CV, how accurate our training data is. So for that, what we are going to do is, so as you can see, the best value of K is K, which will give us, which is going to give us the accurate, most accurate training data set. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to find the oh, what happened here is, I think we left one. Oh, no. Yes, as you can see here, the accuracy of our data set is 97.54% here, which is quite good here. So since we have the best hyperparameter of K, that is 15, this can be used to test the accuracy, check the accuracy of the unseen test data set. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to test our model here. So again, what we are going to do is now we are going to take not just 26, it's 15. Yeah, it's 15. So we are going to test here. So we have the value 15 here. And this is it. Now we are going to get our accuracy of our data set. Oh, what the heck happens here? Okay, as you can see here, the accuracy of our testing data set is 97.34% here. It's also very good here. So what we are going to do is now is we are going to evaluate our model using the testing data set. For this purpose, we are going to set up a confusion matrix, the package we have imported in the library section, in the library sim. So we are going to use it here now. And here what we are going to it is going to help us that it is going to tell us that how many errors was there and how many correct means in a simple language, the true positives, true negatives, false positives, false negatives. If you don't know them, just wait a minute. We are going to show you something. I'm going to show you something. It's just type of a graph here, and we are going to plot a confusion matrix with our testing data set. Oh, you can see here. If you don't know how to read it, I can help you. There is an example here. As you can see here, it's pretty much same. These, first of all, we see this one. So horizontally, these are actual values and these are predicted values. And the first block here is a true positive. What it tells us is that the values which were actually positive were predicted positive. Means and this time we were right here, and this is a but we don't right. We predicted right. So this block shows is that the values which were actually negative but falsely predicted as positive. So it is showing the error here for the second class here. And in this block, what it is going to show is the values which were actually positive but falsely predicted negatives. The thing is, this and this they are errors. So अगर ये जितने कम होंगे हमारे लिए उतना ही अच्छा है, जितने ज्यादा होंगे तो हमारा डाटा अच्छा नहीं माना जाएगा एक तरह से. तो ये कम होने चाहिए, एरर्स कम होने चाहिए. तो और व्हाट इज we can say is true negative here. A true negative is the values which were actually negative and were predicted negative. Means which were wrong in a manner we can say is that the, the values which were wrong and we predicted them wrong here, or in this manner we can say is that the values, the person was female and we predicted that the person is female only. So in that manner you can see here is that, as you can see, both the errors here are very small. So it shows is that the model ac- um, is accurate here, and they are going to be big values here, as you can see, because these are predicted accurate, and they were errors here. So with this we have ended the KNN algorithm uh, session here. Any doubts? We are going to have a we are going to start the next algorithm in 5 minutes at 4 p.m. Is anybody having? Yes, I'll be going to share the codes here. You don't have to worry. Okay, I'm now sharing with you. Just a second. If anybody having doubts, they can ask. So now we can share. Mhm. So I'm sharing the code with you of KNN algorithm. And I'm also sharing with you the data set of our SVM algorithm here. So I think we can start.
Yes, Navjot, go ahead.
Okay. So now we are going. So as Muskan said, that uh, first of all, what is support vector machine algorithm uh, is it is a supervised machine learning algorithm that finds application in solving classification and regression problems. And what it does is uh, SVM makes use of extreme data points that are called vectors in order to generate a hyperplane. These vectors are called supervector. Just they name them. So the primary objective of SVM algorithm is to create an optimal hyperplane with a maximum margin that can separate n-dimensional space into distinct classes. So in a easy way, we can say is what we can say that so that they are effective in high dimensional spaces and they are still effective in cases where number of dimensions is greater than the number of samples. So Now, okay with it, what we are going to do is we are going for an hands-on session for SVM algorithm. So first of all, what we are going to do is the data set. What we are going to perform in what we want to do with our data set is we are going to predict if the person has her disease or not. So first of all, we are going to import the libraries, the necessary libraries. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to import all the libraries which I'll be using. So, oh, sorry. So, so, so as you can see here, and these are our libraries here. Um, there is nothing difference here. I think we have done all. So as the SVM package is different, and we are going to use it as a model here. And I think everything we have done it almost. There are some packages which are for specifically for SVM that we are going to use here. Okay, so we are going to import the libraries now. Okay, then the data. So we are going to import the data here and how we are going to look at how it looks. So for that, we are naming my data set is equal to df. Okay. So we're going to take the data set from there and we are going to, okay, what happens now? Sorry, yaar. So we have imported our data set. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see how it looks like. So for that, we have dot head function. So now you can see here how our dataset look like. And I have written the columns what they are specifying. As you can see, the age column means the person's age. In sex, we can say is the person's gender. That one shows it is male and 0 shows it is female. And in another manner, you can say the CP. That CP column means the chest pain experience. And um, they are donated by 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And in the last we have the target. So if a person is having heart disease, it's showing 1 in the target column. If it isn't having, or he or she doesn't having, it's going to show 0 there. So okay. So we are going to look more into our data set here. So for that, we usually use this now. Or we can use anything. They are not so So here you can see it's showing everything, the means, the counts, the maximum values and minimum values here. And now what we are going to do is we are going to visualize the relations between the age of the patient and the cholesterol levels. So it's going to be the scatter graph here, a scattering plot. We are going to plot a scatter graph. For that, we are going to use this here. And you can see can anybody, okay, I'm saying, so what it's showing, the plot, what it's indicating is that the age group of 60-70 years old, they have slightly higher cholesterol levels as compared to the other age groups. And yes, and there is one information more, that the persons below 40, I think, yeah, it's 40, yeah, we can say the person below 40 have very low cholesterol level. Their cholesterol levels are under 300. Okay, it's fine. Now we have analyzed the data set here. Now what we are going to do is we are going to pre-process our data, or we are going to separate the feature and the target label here from here. So as you can see, other than the target column, all are our features here, feature label. So for the X, which is our feature label, except target, all are included in it, and for Y it's our target set here. So we are going to run here. Okay. Now again we are going to split our data set into training and testing sets. So for that, as you can see, I'm not importing any library now because I've imported them in the first cell there. That's why they were in a big in numbers. So it will be easy for me now. So what we are going to do is we are going to split the data set here, and we are going to, as you can say, we are going to split it into, oh no, it's going to be into 30-70. 30 for testing purpose and 70 for training purpose. So okay, we are going to run it now. So we have run it there. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create our model and we are going to train it. So before that, there are some things that we want to know. So for the SVM classifier, so what are these? So what we are going to do here is we are going to create an SVM classifier model, and we are going to train it. So since our data set is limited to the k-fold cross validation to estimate the performance of a model. So here we are going to use the grid search CV module in order to test a number of combination of parameters that can optimize the performance of a model. So as we have used that grid search CV module previously in KNN function, so I think it's going to be easy for now. So for hyper parameter tuning, here we have three parameters to consider. As you can see, the first one is kernel function. They are used for mapping that original data, use the original data set into higher dimensional spaces. Okay, and the second one we have a C parameter. So what it does is it's an hypermeter in SVM to control the error. So the smaller the value of C, it will result in large margin in the separating the hyperplane, and vice versa. And if we don't want to train our data set misclassified, then we are going to have a large value of C here. And the third one we are having is the gamma parameter, and this will decide the curvature of the decision boundary. So the higher the gamma, the value of the gamma, the greater is going to be the curvature of the decision boundary here. So what we are going to do is we are going to firstly, I think I haven't done it. I have to import one more. We are going to import one more package here. This is grid search CV package. And then we are going to do is we are going to create a SVM classifier and hyperparameter tuning. So for that, we have a simple code of line. So fine, we have created a SVM classifier. Now what we are going to do is we are going to define the parameters range here. For the three parameters, we are going to define the range. So we have this. We have defined the parameter range here. Now we are going to use the grid search function. Okay. Then we are going to do, what we are going to do is now we are going to train our training data set here. For that, we are going to use grid function. Okay. So in this manner, as you can see, we have trained our training data set here. So as we have trained, and now we are going to fetch the best hyperparameters for grid search CV and the corresponding accuracy score. So for that, parameters, this is this. As you can see, we can see the values of C equals to 100, gamma is equals to 0.001, and kernel. Uh, and they're okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see the accuracy of our training data set with these parameters. So a simple code of what we have used in KNN also. As you can see, the accuracy of a training data set is 79% with parameters C equals to 100 and gamma equals to 0.001 and kernel RBF. So we have trained our data set here. So what we are going to do now is we are going to find our test module accuracy. So for that, we have to do is what first we have to do is use the predict function for testing of our, and then we are going to use the accuracy function here to find the accuracy of our testing data set here. Okay, as you can see, it is 76.92, approximately 97%, we can say. Okay, so finally we are going to evaluate the model using our testing data set by using a confusion matrix here, the same way we have done it in KNN algorithm. Okay, with the same, almost with the same code here. I don't know it's going to be same, but we are going to change it. Okay, we have this here. This is our confusion matrix. So what we can say is that 29 patients were predicted that they will have heart disease, and the prediction was correct here. Okay, it is true positive here. And next is the TP. Sem- 70 patients were predicted that they will not have heart disease, but oh sorry. Sorry. Okay. So the 41 were predicted that they will not have heart disease, and the prediction goes right here. So it's our true negative. And we can say is that 17 patients were predicted that they will have heart disease, but the prediction was wrong here. And in the same manner, 4 patients were predicted that they will not have the heart disease, but the prediction was wrong. So as we can see, we have also finished the SVM algorithm here. And as we can see, our data set, our model is very accurate because the errors are very small and the predictions goes right almost. Okay. Any doubts from this? Anyone?
Navjot, there are some queries in the chat box.
Okay. Which label are you saying? Hello? Saloni? Can you speak?
I guess she's talking about the confusion matrix, the true label and the predicted label. The
Uh,
code for this matrix, the blue one.
okay. We have used in previous also. It's the same. We have, but this function is inbuilt in Skyline, uh, Skite library. So we have just imported from there. And what we are doing is we are testing. This plot is for the testing data set for the y test and for the y the predicted y values. As you can see that we have, तो यहाँ से हमने निकाली है, उनके बीच का कंपैरिजन किया है हमने, उनका कंफ्यूजन मैट्रिक्स निकाला है और फिर हमारी जो वैल्यू आई है वो ये है. Okay. I'm sharing. First of all, I have to save it. Okay, it's done. I have shared with you the code of SVM algorithm also. So with a 5-minute break, we are going to start the next one. That is in tree algorithm. So if anybody having any doubt, they can ask.
Is there any numerical to predict uh, values, numeric values? Is there any algorithm to predict numeric values?
For what? I think it's just a basic. We have. What do you want to ask me?
Uh, we are just in these models we are just predicting a category from two from two
Yeah,
options.
what I just want to say is we are doing the basic level. We are not going high, so we are just going basic here. Yeah, there are. It can be possible. Yes. It's just an introduction to the algorithm. It's not how complete. They have many functions in them and many things. The thing is, we can't able to complete them in a 1 day or 2 day. Every algorithm needs a lot time to understand. Yeah, it's just a basic what we are doing here. And I have shared with you the next data set for decision tree. And again, we can move on now. It's going to be our last algorithm of our workshop. So the decision tree algorithm. So basically, first what decision tree algorithm is. So first one, it is a type of supervised learning algorithm, uh, which can also be used for both regression and classification problems. And this algorithm uses training data to create rules that can be represented in a tree structure. Okay, so as you can see here in the diagram, you can see here it has a root node, internal nodes, leaf nodes. So what they represents, first thing is, so first of all, the internal nodes represents the condition on attributes, and the branches represents the result of the condition, and the leaf node represents the class level. Okay, the making of a decision tree. So at each level we have to make selections of the attributes to be the root node, and it is done by using the Gini index, information gain, and chi-square. So we will going to use them in our algorithm here. Okay, now we just start our hands-on session here of our last algorithm. So here what we have is, we have the data set, the balance scale data set here with us. Okay, so what we have to find is in this data set is, so whether the balance scale we have is going to tilt to left or right on the weights on the two sides. ओके, अब मतलब ये है कि वो तौलने वाला नहीं होता है, तो हमें पता क्या करना है कि किसी भी तरफ जो वेट रखेंगे दोनों साइड, तो किस तरफ जाएगा, ज़्यादा रखने से कम रखने से किस तरफ चला जाएगा, तो वो देखना है हमें यहाँ पे. So the first step is going to be importing libraries. They are going to be the simple ones which we are going to use here. These, they are same. क्या हो गया? Oh, so we have imported the libraries here. Now what we are going to do is, so the one thing I have to say is the data set we have used, and it doesn't have any column name, so we are going to name the columns here. So for that we are going to use the column function here, col. So as you can see, we have named our columns in this manner. Okay, now what we are going to do is, we're just going to anything. Okay. Oh, just give me a second. I think I have that. Okay, I have that. So we have the location here. Then what we are going to do is, we have to add here that we have added the names of column. So for that, what we are going to do is, we are going to say that names equals to col. this function here. We are going to separate it with commas here. Okay, now we are going to import our data set. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to see, okay, anyway, how our data looks like. You can see here B means balanced, R means right, and L means left side. Now what we are going to do is we want more information from our data set. So what you usually use, we are using that diff.info function, df.info function. So as you can see here, we are having 625 rows in our data set and 4 columns, and we are not having any null values here. So we can say that our data is clean and we can move forward. So what we are going to do is we are going to analyze some, visualize some our data set here. For that, what we are going to visualize is we are going to see with the plot, that with a bar plot we can say that how many warnings. Okay, so you can see here is what you can see here. You can see in the figure given below or given there, the most of the classes names falls under R and L, which are right and left respectively, and there are only few data that falls under B, which is balanced. So okay, we got to know from this. Fine. If we want to know more from our data, we can use this with some addition. If we want to use it with comparison with the left weight, and as you can see here, is similar here. तो हम देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे कि 3 से लेफ्ट वेट में 3 से कम है तो राइट की तरफ जा रहा है वो, अगर 3 से ज्यादा है तो वो लेफ्ट की तरफ जा रहा है. बैलेंस तकरीबन सेम है हर जगह. ओके, वी गॉट टू नो. फाइन. And in same manner we can see the right weight plot here. So now what we are going to do is we are going to split the data set for training and testing. And for that, first of all, we are going to import paint as script package, and then we are going to split it into feature and target label with this code here. So you can see in the except class name, we have all our feature label here, and the as our class target is class name, so it's in Y. Now what we are going to do is we are going to split our data set into 30/70. We can separate in any way, any form, but it's common now. It's 70/30 or 40/60. We can use anything. It should be balanced. Okay, we have split it the. Okay, what I can do is okay. Can delete them. No. Okay. Not worry, मैं बाद में कर दूँ, ठीक. Okay, we have splitted the data set. Now what we are going to do is we are going to train our data set. So before going there, what we are doing here, we are going to do here is here we are going to use skin index as our attribute selection method for training of decision tree classifier with sklearn function. That is decision tree classifier. Okay, we are going to import that here from sklearn decision tree classifier package. Okay, first of all, we have imported it, and then what we are going to do is we are going to create the decision tree classifier here. Fine. As you can see, so, and now we are going to train our data set with dot fit function. Now okay, now I'm running the code here. As you can see, it disappears. You can see there is no error in the code, as you can say that we have created the decision tree classifier by passing other parameters such as random state, max depth, minimum sample leaf. Okay. Now what we are going to do is, we will now test accuracy by using the classifier on the data test data set. Okay. For this, as usual, we are going to use model.predict function. Okay. We can run here easily. And now we are going to use accuracy score function of sklearn to calculate the accuracy of our test data set. Okay. So as you can see, we got the we can see that we are getting a pretty good accuracy of 70% on our test data. Okay. Now the final step, we are going to plot the decision tree with the help of uh, GraphViz library. GraphViz library. Uh, First of all, we have to name the target and feature name say. Okay. Now here accept class. No. Yeah. Okay. Same. Now what we are going to do is we are going to import GraphViz package from Skylab. Here as you can see, and then now what we are going to do is we are going to plot the graph here. That this is a tree graph with the code this with the help of GraphViz package here. Okay, we are going to run. And what you can see here, okay, it's pretty big. So this is our decision tree graph here. If you want to know how we can read it, for that we have to be okay. I'm just telling you कि हम कैसे पता कर सकते हैं कि क्या हो रहा है इस ट्री में, ग्राफ में क्या हो क्या रहा है. So okay, before we can also do is क्या हो सकता है एक बार. Okay, at last I'm going to understand. I'm going to make you understand about the graph here. We have one more step here. What we can do is this is in graph form. We can do is we can also represent the tree in a textual representation. For that we have to go to export an package of export tree, and then okay, and when we run this, we have this representation of graph in a textual form. So if you want to save it, you can save. in the form of an image with just a small code of line. If you want to say it, this code of line, you can save your graph. Okay. So we are done now. Anybody having any doubt? Anybody? I think we are done. If anybody having any doubt related to anything, they can ask. I think we are done. Muskan?
Yes, Navjot.
We are done with the workshop here.
Okay. So, if anyone has any doubt, they can ask it or they can contact it, us in future. I'm sharing the LinkedIn profiles of the speakers. You can contact them. Yes, the notebook link will be made public
Yeah,
and will be shared with you.
I'm sharing with you. Just a second.
You can connect to us using these links. Um, yes, that's it from my side. The recordings will be uploaded by 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. by today evening, and you can submit your notebooks till 11:59 p.m. today. Certificates will be circulated for the people who have successfully submitted it by next week. Thank you, Vaibhav. We look forward to have you in our other sessions as well.
I've shared the link of the code of the decision tree algorithm with you.
So we come to an end of beautiful 2-day workshop on machine learning algorithms and hope to see you in the next sessions. Take care and stay safe.